75 years have now passed since the liberation of thousands of people in Nazi concentration camps and the end of the Holocaust. Now, a new campaign is promising to keep the stories of survivors alive. It's called I Will Tell Your Story.
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 My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. Don't worry, Zadie. I will tell your story.
Yeah, so powerful. In May, Toronto is hosting Liberation 75, the world's largest gathering of Holocaust survivors, descendants, and educators. Joining us this morning is Marilyn Sinclair, founder of Liberation 75, and Rachel Luke, co-chair of Liberation 75's Education Committee. Wow, that was really powerful, wasn't it? And putting this together, what an interesting and great idea to have the legacy and the stories continue. Marilyn, I want to ask you about, your story in particular. Your dad was a Holocaust survivor. He passed away 10 years ago.
Yes.
And you've said growing up in Canada, the mantra was always, rebuild, rebuild, don't talk, don't tell. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I grew up in a community of mostly Holocaust survivors and their children. And it was really interesting, Lindsey, because the Holocaust survivors themselves didn't talk about their experiences. Some of them actually did not speak for 40 to 50 years after liberation. So every Jew was liberated in May of 1945, whether they came out of Auschwitz or other camps or forests or ghettos or hiding. And they went back largely to their towns. And in my father's case, he went back to find his whole community decimated. His family was murdered, all of his relatives, the entire community, Jewish community of Mad, Hungary, where he was from, was completely eliminated. And when they came to Canada, they wanted to rebuild. They wanted their children to have good lives. So they didn't talk about their experiences. And in the 1980s, the gathering movement started. In 1985, we had the Canadian Gathering of Holocaust Survivors and Descendants, where 5,000 people came together in Ottawa. And the survivors started to tell their stories. And I was there with my late father. And after that time, the survivors made a commitment to start to tell their stories. And they built the museums and the centers, monuments, started speaking to students. And that became everything that we see around the world today was really the hard work that the Holocaust survivors did.
I will tell your story. Rachel, let's talk about that initiative, promising to tell the stories of those that have gone before us. Whose story are you telling?
I'm telling Amick Adler's story. He's a Holocaust survivor who came to my school. And at the end of his witness account, he said, I never had fear during the Holocaust, but I know that my time is short, and I'm scared that my story will no longer be told. And so my students and I made a commitment to him that we will tell his story. And he passed away shortly after coming to my school.
Liberation 75 is a 3-day event. What can people expect?
The very best of everything that's happening right now in the world in terms of Holocaust education, remembrance, culture, arts, film. It is really the first time that every best practice organization from around the world has come together to one place to showcase what's happened over the past 75 years and how are we going to continue the memory in the future for all the years coming up.
And when we have, the younger generations taking on the stories of those that have gone before, how does that work? In what way are they telling the stories? In what venues? Is it, you and I sitting here or over dinner? Is it more a formal setting? How does this work?
So of course, they can tell the stories that they've heard, the witness accounts. But also, I think, not only are they telling the stories, but they're also standing up for social justice. Not just for Holocaust educators, Holocaust survivors, but also for everyone who's oppressed, everyone who is experiencing hardships in our world today.
Marilyn and Rachel, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for both being here today. And we will post information on how you can attend Liberation 75 on our social media.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.